Hello, I'm Toycat, and there are 30 hostile mobs in Minecraft, and today I'm going to show you how to kill the 10 hardest of them, because almost every mob in this game has a simple strategy. If you want it dead, charge at it with a sword, and that will almost certainly happen. However, trying to charge down a witch or a wither with a sword and a dream is never going to go as well as you expect, and so I'm not giving you advice that just involves eating an enchanted golden apple. Instead, here is a fairly standard survival inventory, and here's how you can use it to kill the 10 most hostile mobs as measured by the amount of health they have, which brings us in nicely with the witch for number 10. This is a scary mob to get close to because she can slow you, poison you, and then finish you off with a harming potion. How do you avoid a close combat attack that is so dangerous from a mob that moves around so much? Well, I always recommend bring a boat with you. The boat seems like a weird thing, especially to use on land. However, if you try to lure the witch towards you, eventually the witch will pathfind right into the boat. They don't seem to know that they're there, which means that if you can just keep a boat between you and the witch, eventually you'll freeze her in place, and although you might have to dodge a potion or two while doing so, you've now got the witch exactly where you want her. Honestly, you don't even need her dead at this point, but if you really insist, then I would recommend bring a bow and 3 fully charged arrows back to back to back, and before the witch can even finish drinking a potion, she is dead and has a decent chance of dropping said health potion. Oh, what a lovely little bonus that is. That is the 10th most healthy mob in Minecraft. Moving on, let's talk about the 9th most challenging mob to kill, and we're already into the weird fantasy elements of Minecraft. I am sorting this list by the amount of health that each mob has, so the Guardian has 30, but that's only the start of its difficulty. It shoots these laser beams that can hit you as long as it has a line of sight. Also, they've got thorns, so if you attack them back, you're going to get hurt, and also they swim underwater, where I'm sure you've noticed already, but while you're underwater, you might just drown, leading to another source of damage. Armor-piercing lasers plus thorns plus the ability to drown you sure is a scary combo, and ultimately they have one effective counter that was built into the game at the exact same time. But what if you don't have a trident? Well, you can still use arrows. These sort of work underwater. I don't think they're the perfect counter you want them to be, and honestly they have a very strong range limitation, but if you want, you can just fire arrows endlessly at them and hope that that works for you. But what I ultimately recommend is going in for a quick charge attack, because once you attack a Guardian once, they tend to get on the defensive and start running away, and this can be used to your advantage. There are lots and lots of Guardians right here, and while they are swimming, they cannot deal their thorns damage to me, meaning that after this hit, I am out of there, and I'm ready to get out until there is another Guardian attack. Ultimately, I would say though, if your goal is the Ocean Monument, you don't even really need to kill the regular Guardians, you just need to not be hurt by them, something you should keep in mind. Although, again, build your own terrain, and you never even need to worry about their attacks. Look how easy that is. And now we walk over, and another Guardian is dead. Speaking of Guardians, the Guardian of the End City also has 30 HP, and these guys have something in common with their friends from below the deep, which is they do a type of damage you won't encounter in the rest of Minecraft, because these pellets will knock you into the sky and continue making you float up because they give you the levitation effect. This is terrifying the first time it happens, but just know the end is filled with these chorus plants, which you can not only fall onto if you want to reduce the amount of your fall, but also it's made up of chorus fruit, which you can eat and immediately teleport to a random point on the ground. Once you know that you've got the ability to avoid full damage, this is a very, very big one. You know you can just charge these people down and attack them head on. Sure, you can't have any range damage on them, but being able to kill a Shulker in just a few hits while the choruses come through is very, very simple, because yeah, you have the solution to their attacks, they don't have the solution to yours, as long as it's not an arrow. They can apparently rebound those, by the way, watch out for that. But yeah, the Shulker is a very easy mob to kill if you know what you're doing, something which also applies to our next mob. So Hoglins are one of the bigger threats that you'll face in the Nether, literally in terms of their size. However, this size is a downside because it means they can't fit through many gaps. Right here you can see there's a one wide gap between the trees, and the Hoglins are just not able to fit through it. This is a big advantage to you, and this is why, unless there is ghast and lava perfectly in the right place, you can just stack up and you are going to be entirely safe. Where did all those piglins come from? What? There was okay, so interestingly enough, stacking up is the easiest way to avoid, but also, even though these piglins are a problem for me right now because I'm not wearing gold, piglins are one of the best solutions to Hoglins, alongside a shield, alongside simply having a bow, and if you can use these 3 things to your advantage, you never need to fight the Hoglins. However, what if you do desperately need food and you want to kill a Hoglin without being hurt yourself? Well, this has happened to me many times, including right now, and thankfully I'm not above eating a hog that has been to hell. There is a Hoglin over there. as you can see, he's already doing what I wanted him to, which is fall in lava and mostly get injured by the fire. So I'll bridge over to him now. Okay, got to avoid a piglin that's behind me, but don't worry, he is gone now too. And now I can show you that there is a hoglin. It's in a very, very, very scary situation, but just keep in mind the 3-block rule. If you are 3 blocks above one of these mobs, they cannot hurt you, and so instantly dead. Even better if you can do this while they happen to be on fire, because now you can go from basically starving to death to not quite basically starving to death. Okay, I need to get out of here. There's a piglin over there. But just like that, I now have some food, which I can cook, or even in the most desperate of situations, I can eat it raw. But as you can see, that is my healing, guaranteed. And so we just have to do that time and time again. Stack up or break down. If you don't mind being a little risky, all you have to do is put some lava just above the hoglin, start attacking him before he even expects it, and then finish him once you've got enough height that he's not going to be a concern. The lava bucket is not just a great way to guarantee that you're going to get yourself some cooked pork chops, although, oh no, why is the piglin here? But it's not just a great way to get yourself some cooked pork chops, which I think the piglin might have just taken. Is that even a feature? Wait, what? Where did it go? Did he actually take them somehow? Wouldn't that make him a cannibal? If a piglin eats pork chops, is that okay? Well, the answer to this question clearly comes in the form of the Piglin Brute. These are enemies that can evade most of the normal resistance mechanisms you have. If you try to put on some gold, they don't care, they're angry at you regardless. If you try to use a shield, they have an axe and they can immediately block that, and ultimately they have so much health that trying to take them down slowly from a distance can be very challenging too. And so what are you going to do if you want to kill these enemies? And keep in mind that if you do attack, then all of the regular piglins are going to be mad at you as well. There is one really easy defense mechanism that I love to recommend, especially when you have the high ground, which you always should, and this is simply lava. They are some of the only enemies in the entire enemy that are still not lava resistant. Try to put lava on a blaze or a magma cube and you'll see how well that goes, but because the piglins are just pigs that happen to be in the nether, they will actually die in lava, and they don't even know that they're burning, so they won't try to escape it. This is one of the easiest ways to get an easy murder out there, and the only thing that you lose when they die this way is their golden axes. Ultimately, it is a massive win for you if you can get all of the Piglin Brutes attacking you at the same time and then just use a single bucket of lava to avoid all of the pain. And ultimately, oh, look, there's more pork chops here waiting for me. Oh, unexpected, but I can live with this, I guess. Ultimately, yeah, in the same way that you would try your very best. Oh, okay, look at that, so many pork chops. Love that. Anyway, so yeah, now, once you've done that, you can kill the remaining piglins using lava as well, because this also won't alert their friends, and now the chests are entirely yours to take. Okay. I just got some ancient debris, a golden apple, and some gold without really having to do much attacking myself, and yeah, you better believe that I'm excited for this Bane of Arthropods sword that I'll be using for the rest of the video, if it lasts that long, that is. Next up, we have the Elder Guardian, which is always the source of some controversy because, like, well, is it really even a boss mob is a great question. However, using TNT to get in is not just a great solution for getting in here, but also a great solution for avoiding the pain that comes with an Elder Guardian. So if you hate the idea of attacking once, surfacing, wait to heal, and then go back in and do it again, ultimately, you don't have that many options available to you, but one of my favorites is just to use the same TNT technique that you used out there, but inside. So in the exact same way that, okay, so we're just going to launch some TNT there, and then we're going to put some sand down next to it, and we're just going to get out of there, and as you're going to see, the TNT is going to hurt, because TNT in water does precisely that. If you have a bunch of TNT, and it comes in batches of 9 from desert temples, this can be a great way to kill the mob, but it still doesn't feel like you're necessarily doing it the intended way, and again, taking all of this damage from the thorns is also not very good. What is the solution? I so badly want to say, just drink a potion of the Turtle Master. While you're underwater, it won't matter anyway. But ultimately, what you have to do is you have to wait for the Elder Guardian to swim away and retract her spikes inwards. Once those spikes have been retracted, then you just have to keep going like crazy, and eventually, if you do this enough, the Elder Guardian will die. It feels like an insane strategy, but in my experience, it is the one that works best. I've given this tip before, by the way, and it's one of my favorites, but if you need to have some breathable air while you're in here, just make sure you have a single piece of air that is surrounded by on all sides by something else, then get yourself up here, and wow, look at that, all of a sudden I can breathe. It does have have the downside of having to destroy the sand block if you want to escape, but once you do this, and, you know, it does take you an age, then you will now have some air, which gives you ultimately the real solution that you need here, because slowly whittling down the Elder Guardian might be your favorite solution. Maybe even using a crossbow so you can charge it while you're not looking is something that you love, but personally, I don't think this is a great solution to the problem, but if you prefer it and you really don't want to get hurt whatsoever, then, well, this won't work for you because you're going to end up forgetting about your first meter. Your first is the most important thing. No matter how much damage an Elder Guardian does to you, yourself slowly choking to death on water will do much more. And ultimately, this might seem like a good idea, and it might even be one if you have really bad armor, but it takes a really long time to get anything done, and you'll probably die during it. And so if you really care about efficiency so much and you want to attack it from far, but you don't want to deal with too much melee damage, just use some explosives like a real man. I'm just kidding. That's terrible advice. But yeah, outside of bring a trident, all I can really say is make sure you do this hit by hit, and eventually you'll be fine. But fine is measured in relative terms. Killing an Elder Guardian is going to result in damage to you. You just have to decide whether you want that to be water or thorns. And ultimately, they're not bad choices. The fourth hardest mob to kill in Minecraft when measured by health points is the Raid. Although, of course, the Raid is not one mob and is not counted that way by basically anyone. Also, this sword sucks. It's not only is it only Bane of Arthropods, which works against only the weakest mobs, but also it's knocking enemies with bows further away from me so that they can hit me with more crossbows. Anyway, let's switch out to the Diamond Hoe and let's show you the real fourth most dangerous mob, because it's not the Pillagers or the Vindicators who ultimately can be killed with the same strategy of keep them at far and make sure they don't hurt you, but is actually the other mob that spawns here occasionally and always drops a saddle. That's right, it's the Ravager. The Ravager has 100 health points. That is 5 times as many as you, the player, which is terrifying because he also has a really funky attack. If you've never seen it, let me show you. He whips his head out and shows you that he in fact can headbutt you from really decent distances away. And to show you how much damage that does, 1/4 of my health bar, and that's while we've got some armor on. So 4 attacks from this guy and you're gone, and also you have to attack him genuinely dozens of times for him to die. What can you do to kill him easily? Well, funnily enough, stacking up is always my go-to, but here's what happens when you try that. It seems to work so well until it doesn't. However, even though that doesn't work, something which I think is very handy is the fact that you can in fact dig just straight down, and from down here, you'll find that you are mostly safe. You can attack a Ravager from this hole, and it's a very good strategy, but personally, I think the idea of putting yourself in the hole is a bit demeaning to you. You might be weak to Pillagers while you're in this position, so what if there was an alternative? Well, I think it would be reasonable to say it's the Ravager who should be hiding from you, and so you can force the Ravager to do precisely that by digging yourself a nice 3x3 hole. You will have to watch out for a Ravager while you do this, but if you dig a hole that is just 2 blocks deep in the entirety of the thing and then hook the Ravager using a fishing rod, then you can knock him straight into the hole, and now you are safe from him. No more problems with the Ravager. If you want to keep a raid going on indefinitely, you can do this, and if you want to destroy your leaves in a more creative way, let me show you something fun. Here is a tree, and I don't like its leaves, but I don't want to just destroy the leaves off the tree because I think that's bad for the environment. So what I do instead is I chop the tree, I get all these beautiful blocks, and then I take advantage of the... Oh wait, I've got no inventory space. And then I take advantage of my newfound pet, and I surround it with these leaves, and you know what's going to happen? They're going to instantly be destroyed because for some reason, placing leaves anywhere near a Ravager results in their instant destruction. Is that useful to anyone? No, but I think it's cool anyway. And yeah, if you wanted to finish him with an arrow from here, you could. You can really take advantage of having target practice if you want to, something I personally really love. Speaking of things I really love, by the way, he has so much health, it will take you all day if you try to do this. But speaking of things that take you all day, trying to kill a Ravager is one thing, but what about killing a boss of the game? Hey, that was the whole raid complete. Yay. Look, everyone, there's fireworks for me. I did a good job. The next mob is always surprising to me that you find it so low down on the list because 200 HP sounds like it's only double as much as the Ravager, but obviously the Ender Dragon has to have more, right? I mean, it has a giant health bar. sometimes. However, there are a couple of things that make the dragon seem like she has more health. One of these is the fact that every time you deal a quarter of her health bar to her, she will fly away, and so it kind of, maximizes the amount of time you spend fighting. And the other is the fact that she takes your damage and divides it by 4. You get a quarter of your damage plus 1, meaning that, the actual damage you have to deal to her is effectively sort of 800, but her HP is 200, and that's the way we made the list. So how exactly do you kill the dragon easily? Well, first step is always to try and get some projectile through her head. A fishing rod will not count. It has to be something like an ender pearl, a snowball, a single bow and arrow. Any of these tools will go just great. And so, hope that you have a spare crossbow or arrow somewhere, because when you shoot this through the dragon's head, you will deal double damage for the rest of the session. It is a very, very ridiculous part of Minecraft that basically relies on the dragon having 2 hitboxes, and when you shoot through the neck, you trigger them both to be hurt by your sword, meaning that basically, instead of her damage being 1/4 or divided by 4, it gets divided by 2. Very, very strange stuff. The other thing that you need to do in killing the dragon, besides obviously take down the towers, hit her in the neck, because this is where the most damage is dealt, but besides these 2 important things, you also need to keep in mind that the dragon can physically fly in and hit you, and also fire these dragon's breath. That is a dragon's breath right there, and this will single-handedly kill you. How can you deal with it, besides not walking in there? Well, first step, by the way, also always attack the dragon when she flies into the center. It holds her in place, but one of the most important things you can do to get rid of this breath is bring some glass bottles with you, and if you fill them up slowly, you will remove all of the dragon's breath that exists on the ground. This takes around 10 bottles per spill if it's fully done, but if you have a slightly smaller one, you can do it fewer. This is a great way to make the end a less hazardous place, but ultimately I would say the dragon is a really easy mob in terms of how to attack her. You literally just wait till she flies into the center, and then it's all about avoiding the attacks she might otherwise have. I personally keep a laser eye focused on her at all times, preferably with a bow and arrow out or something that can shoot her back, because this means if she fires end acid, you can dodge it immediately. This way, if there are endermen nearby you, you're not going to look at them, and most crucially, when the dragon flies towards you, being able to hit her will prevent her from going towards you. In fact, actually, instead of playing you the clip again, I'll shoot her, and as you can see, once you hit her, she decides, okay, I'm leaving, I'm going up into the sky. Being able to prevent physical damage, which I almost just didn't do there, is one of the most important things of the dragon fight. There are lots of endermen here, and they are one of the more dangerous mobs in the game. They would have been 7th on this list if they were a hostile mob, but ultimately, they're not hostile, unlike the dragon, who actively seems to want you dead. So keep a bow aimed directly at her. Even while you're shooting the towers, try to shoot the ones which are directly in front of her, and if you can do those things, it doesn't matter where on the dragon you hit her, or if you have a netherite sword or not, because ultimately, being able to avoid her damage is the much more important thing in this fight, because she literally flies to a place where you can safely attack her, because as long as you're inside the podium, her breath can't get you. It literally is a freebie if you can avoid the ways that she wants to kill you, which it looks like we've just done, and this will open up a very convenient place that many people like to fight the second hardest mob in Minecraft, because the end portal is wonderful for being a bedrock place to get back to the overworld. Sure, it's the only way out of this dimension, so truly it's the only mob you have to kill if you want to make big progress in Minecraft. However, a lot of people like digging down below this thing, and I've got to say, it does seem like a really smart move, partially because of the fact that the bedrock will be there to stop her from going too crazy high, and partially because of the fact that, well, obviously there's a bunch of endermen here that she's going to bother attacking first. However, the Wither is really effectively 2 separate boss fights in a trench coat. The first one is really simple. It's just use a ranged weapon, try and stay away from the skulls. Indeed, these get harder and harder depending on your difficulty, but if you can stay away from these skulls or shoot the black ones back to her, then you'll actually get this first phase done with basically no difficulties. As you can see, I'm actually doing a pretty good job. She's not even attacking endermen right now to, to avoid the gaze, but just by being far enough away and indeed being smart enough to realize that I don't want to die, you can do great through this first phase. The first half of the Wither is so easy, you can do it with any amount of armor. However, something changes when you get halfway through. This is obviously Bedrock exclusive. Indeed, even a fun fact, on Bedrock, the Wither has a different amount of HP depending on the difficulty, just as a fun thing here, versus on Java, where it's one fixed amount and one fixed boss. But yeah, they really wanted to make this boss fight more challenging on Bedrock. And so not only does she fly around erratically, but also, halfway through the fight, this fun thing happens right here, where she decides she's going to spawn in a couple of Wither skeletons and also gets this brand new dash attack. Once this this happens, she gains this big blue shield, which will deflect arrows. Fun fact, there is no more ranged attacks, and also has the ability to charge towards you, destroying all terrain between you and her. If you don't believe that, well, now you can. This makes her an absolute menace to deal with, because she also is just smart enough to fly just about out of reach of you, meaning that it's very, very hard to do physical attacks. What do you do at this point? Well, the solution here is actually quite smart. You're going to leave the dimension the Wither is in, then you're going to go to your options menu, and you're going to pick save and quit. This is the easiest way past it. Close the game and don't come back. I mean, if you really must, restart Minecraft, make a new world, and make sure you don't do that again. You dummy, you spawned in this boss, and now you must deal with the consequences. Okay, fine, more seriously, I'll spawn a Wither in a much more appropriate place. I recommend underground for 90% of players, and then I'd say if you have a Riptide Trident and want to have fun, I would say that the ocean is the second best place, but somewhere very far away from any builds that you care about, or indeed any terrain that you care about, is a must, and making sure that you're either separated by 60 blocks of ground or hundreds of blocks of ocean is the minimum you've got to do, and oh god, I'm not ready for this at all. Phase 2 is beginning. Oh. Phase 2 of this Wither fight basically relies on you being able to deal with the amount of lag that the dash attacks cause, while also making sure you're not caught up in them. So make sure whenever you see the Wither about to do this kind of sideways movement, that you get the hell out of the front of its range. If you are too far from it, then you will have some serious hell to pay, and make sure that you heal up greatly between each of these. So every single time you need to heal, get far away in a nice 2x1 tunnel, and make sure that if the Wither wants to follow you, she physically won't be able to. And that is kind of what I've done right now. I'm in a dark hole, I've got some light, thankfully, but if the Wither does dash attack over here, as she definitely will, she won't make it very close. And in fact, if you stay far enough away, as one of these tunnels can do for you, you're going to learn all about branch mining again, fighting the Wither underground. But by staying away until you've healed up, you'll all of a sudden realize that the Wither won't... Okay, there we go, it's happened. Okay. And now, once you've done this enough times, you have a decent enough distance on the Wither that, yeah, you can sit here, charge her down, wait for your, like your health to slowly go down, and then run out of there, except that things are crazy and that there's going to be a lot of lag if you're on a lower end device. So turn down your render distance, turn down everything you can, and focus on maintaining your healing advantage, because ultimately this is the thing you have above the Wither. You can both deal lots of damage to each other, but she just has to deal 20 to you in a row before you're dead. You have to deal 300 to 600 to the Wither, a ridiculous amount, honestly, and an amount that really will make you better off if you bring a potion or two. Really, really recommend those. But even if you can't, just regular healing and a decent knowledge of how far away to stay from her, pro tip, at least this far, will go a long, long way in life. Anyway, she's about to dash, and so after a dash has been complete, one big attack wave to her. You can use basically any melee weapon, and she will never realistically get too far away, and all of a sudden, one last explosion, which you should definitely avoid, by the way, and indeed try not to be anything near anything you care about, because explosion number 3 signifies that you are officially done with this noise, and you get that Wither Star, as well as just so much inventory junk, which I'll have to clear out before moving on to the final mob, the most challenging mob in Minecraft by health. So for Minecraft's most dangerous mob, I want to start with an important clarification. You don't need to fight this guy. There is precisely zero reason you should be going through this. Indeed, if right now you stop watching this video, you decide you're not going to kill him after all, you know how much better your life would be? Imagine your life as it could be without this fight, and now imagine it as it is with. It's exactly the same, except you'll probably get clobbered, but if you really insist on doing this, then here's what you're going to need to do. Summon in the Warden as soon as you can. Make yourself at least a 2-block deep hole. You're going to want to make this as wide as you can make with the circumstances available. I'd recommend using your grace period to make this quite nice and wide if you can. Using trapdoors will help you a lot, but you want to make sure the Warden has no way out once he gets in there. Now that you've done this, you're still vulnerable to his second type of attack. It's called a sonic boom attack, and it will obliterate you, just a warning. So you want to get yourself at least 25 blocks away from him. I think that we've done that now, but I'm entirely eyeballing this. We'll find out if I die. And now the Warden is trapped in a hole with no way out, and also I'm outside of his range. Now you can attack him from this distance. Again, no reason to do this. At this point, if you've trapped the Warden, you've already won the fight. But if you really insist on doing this, here's how many arrows it's going to take. Okay, 56 shots later, we now have a dead Warden, and do you know what we have to show for it? Do you know how easy that item is to get otherwise? And also, do you know apparently how little it takes for another Warden to spawn while you walk over to get it? This is the worst value win in Minecraft. The only reason you go for it is if you absolutely must either farm these items and you have a ridiculous amount of time and a ridiculous number of arrows from another farm, or the other reason you do it is for pure bragging rights. I have to admit, it feels good after all the times I've been slain by a Warden to slowly kill him, but the amount of time it takes, have you considered picking up another hobby instead? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed today's thing. If you have, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, because this is a fun little series on the channel. I like to give people actual Minecraft advice to make them better at the game, and I know that's not as flashy or exciting as everything else, but I hope that it's something you enjoy, is the genuine advice that will make your Minecraft world better. I believe in helping people out with their long-term survival worlds, and if you want to, stay around, if you've got a big Minecraft world planned, maybe subscribing to the channel is a great way to stay up to date with ideas and plans to do better at that. Because I'm gonna stop killing this Warden. In fact, actually, you know, I've got a good idea. Let's deal with both of our hard bosses in one here. Let's take our Warden problem. Let's combine it with a bit of a Wither problem. I can't see anything actually. Oh, never mind. This might be a bad idea. I'm changing my mind about this real quick. Okay, let's get out of there. You know what? If you think about it, this is actually the best possible solution to both of your problems. Got two annoying mobs that you don't like? Just make them fight each other, and now you'll have no issues. Also, pro tip, if a Wither boss ever does come through. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's the Warden. Never mind. GG. Thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Oh, and before we go, in case you're looking for a gift for someone with a little bit more thought behind it, have you considered getting someone a We Will All Die Someday mug? It's a great mug of reminding you of your mortality, while also being an incredibly cute heart-shaped handle that fits together to show you and a loved one that we will all die someday, but we value our time together. Or something like that. It's a lot of fun. There's also anti-Valentine's Day cards available at ibxtoycat.store if you're looking for a gift for the special person in your life. Whether they're a Toy Cat fan or not, I would recommend it. But you know what else I'd recommend? Watching the outro, because this video's over now. Bye!